Hello all, welcome to Sand Compounding. This is Sandeep Anand. I'm starting a new series called 20 for 2030. And what does that even mean? For investors in investing, the formula of compounding, which is very powerful, and the formula is P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power n. And n is an exponential factor. N is nothing but, we all know, it's a time invested, time we invest in the capital is invested in a business, or the tenure as we can call. And the tenure or longevity of our investment is very important because if we make investments in businesses that can sustain for 10 to 12 years with a good level of growth and at the right valuation, we are made home. The returns on the capital invested would be very high. Now, how do we find businesses which can run and which has such longevity of 10-12 years, especially in today's world of disruption? Every business is getting disrupted. Erstwhile, no wonder Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, used to find businesses which are least disruptive and that can run for a long time with growth, and he called it as moat. While moat investing, I don't know if it's really that relevant in today's generation because all businesses are getting disrupted with the advent of digital and mobile and internet. Now, identifying such businesses is a very difficult task, and I have tried my best to find out 20 such businesses which can pay way till 2030, and come 2030, in hindsight, these businesses would have been great to hold for such a longevity period. Now, how do we find these businesses? I've applied the principle of inversion, which I learned from Charlie Munger, and we look forward to 2030, and when we look back in hindsight, the inversion principle, based on that, what businesses could and why those businesses could sustain till that period is what I've done. So here are such 20 stocks, and one most important thing, not in investing, not all businesses are great investments at all point of time, but most point of time. So there could be reasons being valuation is one important factor which can control the time when we enter into a business. If there are frothy valuations, our returns would be mediocre. So it's very important to identify great longevity, great businesses which has longevity and at the same time that has good growth and the right valuation. So, but this could be a blueprint or a watch list that we can use to identify, and when the correction happens or recession happens, these great businesses could be a great entry point, could give a great entry point. Hope this gets interesting as we move on. The next business in 2030 list is a leading semiconductor play globally. That's Nvidia. Founded and driven, his current CEO is Jensen Huang. He founded the company and he's a visionary leader driving Nvidia to this space. And Nvidia has been a leader in the graphical processing space in the gaming industry. That's how they found their niche, and they are the monopoly there. There is no competition for Nvidia, at least close competition for Nvidia in the gaming space. But my thesis is predicated on 3 pillars of growth for Nvidia. The first being data center and the whole cloud play. The second is the gaming play, and the third is the artificial intelligence and autonomous vehicles. Nvidia has invested well across all these spectrums, and they have found its niche across all that spectrum. Mainly in the processing segment and data center, their business is roughly $3 billion revenue, and data center growth is pretty good for Nvidia considering the cloud migration is going very well across enterprise, across globally. Now we all know cloud just scratches the surface, and it's just application spaces that are moving to cloud, but the whole gaming industry, the whole media industry is all yet to move to cloud, and there is a huge untapped market there. With the acquisition of Mellanox will be a great catalyst for Nvidia in the data center play, because Mellanox is a leader in the data and interconnected data streaming, because Mellanox has its found its niche in the interconnected data streaming, interconnected communication between the machines within the cloud and hyper-converged infrastructure. I hope that deal goes through. Now, Nvidia's gaming, they recently partnered with Tencent to do the migration of the gaming towards cloud. That is a very new segment of growth which is yet to be tapped into by Nvidia. And partnership with Tencent, believe me, Tencent is a leader globally in the gaming industry. They own almost all the gaming companies in the world, and it's a great partnership to have. And Nvidia has its own niche and monopoly in the gaming industry with its processors and the graphical process. Now coming to the third part of the business, where they're investing investing a lot of capital towards artificial intelligence and the autonomous vehicles. Now Nvidia has its own autonomous vehicles and testing and technology, just like Google's Waymo and Tesla. Now Nvidia has its partnership with Didi and Uber and others in China and globally to create its niche and technology for autonomous vehicles. This will be a big segment of growth in the next decade. Putting together, Nvidia is well placed across all of the growth segments, and let's analyze more in detail why Nvidia is part of the 2030 list. So Nvidia started with the invention of the graphics processing unit, GPUs, to solve some of the most complex problems in computer science, and these accelerated computing platforms that can give tremendous throughput for applications. Now, from their proprietary processors, GPU process, Nvidia has created platforms that addresses 4 large markets. I would classify them into 4 segments of markets where their expertise is critical. The first one is gaming, as we saw in the introductory session, then the professional visualization, data center, and automotive. So basically they are into 4 primary areas, and in all of these areas the thing to be noted is that they are not in the legacy systems. They are inventing and lining themselves up for the future in each of these areas, whether it is electric and autonomous driving in automotive, whether it is cloud migrations, data center, whether it is AR and visual VR in visualization, and then there is gaming, which is the new age. There is a next generation which includes streaming of the gaming, live streaming, competing in the gaming industry, migration of gaming into cloud, many other new age things. So gaming, first one, let's go into each of that. Gaming is largest entertainment industry, as we all know. Many factors propel computer gaming's growth, including new high production value games and franchises, and the rise of competitive online gaming. As I said, online gaming and streaming is becoming even more prominent, esports, and the rise of virtual and augmented reality, AR, VR. So all of these, they are all coming up with, there are many companies coming up with new age products in VR, like Facebook has come up with its products, even Nvidia has it. So all of them are touching on the prospective businesses in gaming industry. So their products for the gaming market includes GeForce RTX, GeForce GTX GPUs for PC gaming, Shield devices for gaming and streaming, GeForce Now for cloud-based gaming. Cloud-based gaming is the next in thing, take it from me, and this is well known by, propagated by the leading cloud player, the gaming players like Tencent. Now they have recently partnered with Tencent for the cloud migration of gaming. Now also streaming is the next big thing in the gaming gaming industry. Live streaming is catching up more and more, and let's wait and watch how this gaming industry will transform into. Their VR works allows developers to create fully immersive experiences, and virtual reality is also a big thing in the future in terms of gaming, and they enable physically realistic visual, sound, touch interactions, pretty much like the simulated environments are pretty much realistic in nature with the VR AR in place. The next segment of business is data center and AI. So data center is nothing but it's part of the cloud business strategy for Nvidia and the artificial intelligence. So Nvidia accelerated computing platform addresses artificial intelligence and HPC, that's high performance computing applications. The platform consists of energy efficient GPUs specifically targeting the data center operations, CUDA programming language, and specific libraries such as CUDNN and TensorRT, and innovations such as NVLink, which enables application scalability across multiple GPUs. Now, for both AI and high performance computing applications, Nvidia accelerated computing platform greatly increases the performance and power efficiency of high performance computers and data centers. So when it comes to data centers and the cloud, they are remote, right? Any sort of interactions, any sort of workflow and across the workloads will have to be high performance computing, which means they have to be synchronized, they have to be very quick in the response time, and GPUs that is created by Nvidia is perfect in that, excel at that parallel workloads, and to enable deep learning and machine learning, even those needs high performance computing. Anything with the high performance computing, GPUs are there, and they are designed to speed up training and inferencing of neural networks in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, Nvidia's automotive segments is mainly comprised of cockpit infotainment solutions, AV platforms, that is autonomous vehicle platforms, and associated development agreements. Now, they are providing a full suite of solutions for the autonomous vehicles market under the Drive brand. Now, Nvidia has demonstrated multiple applications of AI within the car. AI can drive the car itself as a pilot, for instance, and we'll delve deep into Nvidia's autonomous vehicle segment in the next slide. Now look at this, Nvidia's data center addressable market. It's a big growth opportunity. We all know cloud just scratched the surface in terms of its addressable market size, and total addressable size market TAM is $50 billion for Nvidia, and in that $10 billion is segregated towards high performance computing. $20 billion is dedicated towards is targeted towards a hyperscale and consumer internet that includes 5G, IoT, and cloud, and all of them, and then $20 billion including specific data centers and industrial IoT. So the network operations and cloud computing, 5G, everything put together is $40 billion. That's huge. Now you could see the ride-hailing industry, as per the Goldman Sachs, is expected to grow eightfold to $285 billion by 2030, and that's Goldman Sachs prophesizing that. And we are yet to watch out how that would transpire. But overall, the ride-hailing industry, especially in the autonomous vehicle, is fast catching up. We can see successful models from Google, Waymo, Tesla, and Nvidia themselves have the ride-hailing. The autonomous vehicles. You could see a picture there of Nvidia's AV autonomous vehicle. It's self-driven cars. Now here are the key business strategies for Nvidia. Their first strategy is advancing the GPU computing platform that outpaces Moore's law, which is a technology I would say benchmark that is set in the semiconductor industry by leveraging innovation across architecture, chip designing, system and software layers. They want to even more advance on this high performance computing platform. They want to extend the technology and platform leadership in artificial intelligence. Nvidia GPU platforms are available from virtually every server maker and cloud service providers, as well as on their AI supercomputer. The next target is extending Nvidia technology and platform leadership in visual computing to enhance user experience for gaming, that's then through their GeForce. Then advancing the leading autonomous vehicle platform. They're investing capital all across these key business strategies in 2019 and years to come. Now looking at revenues, profitability, cash flow and balance sheet analysis, I put a snippet of their P&L for 2018 and 2019. So they had roughly, this is in $1 million, so they had roughly $11.7 billion revenue in 2019 for the year ended. Total revenue was $11.7 billion, and total operating expenses was $3.3 billion, and they have operating income around $3.8 billion in 2019. So they're growing pretty well. They're growing at 20%, 25% on year both on revenue and operating profits. Now their total net income was $4 billion in 2019, and against $3 billion in 2018. So that is roughly 30% growth on net income. Now revenues are growing around 20%. Gross profit margin is pretty high. Obviously this is in semiconductor chip business, and it's around at 60%, which is pretty, that's beauty of this business. Overall the profit margins are always way too high than any other business segments, and the GPU business revenue increased by 25%. They are gaming and GPU processors in FY 2019, and it was primarily due to 18% growth in sales of GeForce GPU products for gaming, and driven by initial sales of Turing based GPUs for desktops and by high performance notebooks. Now the data center revenue, including Tesla, Grid and DGX, increased 52%, reflecting strong sales of Volta architecture products, including Nvidia, Tesla V100 and DGX. So data center business is booming, obviously, with more and more data centers coming in, more and more cloud business growing, and more workload transformation happening towards cloud. Data center business are going to grow a lot, multifold in the next coming years. very high margin business, as I said, with strong moat, because Nvidia's segments are all very niche, and it's a dominant player in those segments like gaming processors, in GPUs, in whether it is fast high performance computing processors, in data center processors, even in AV autonomous vehicles and electric cars. They are providing chips even today, even to Tesla, although Tesla is venturing to making its own chips in the future. Now, operating profits grew by 19% and they garnered $3.3 billion in 2019. We spoke about this good profit margin, and they spent 20% of revenue in R&D and 9% in sales and administrative. Obviously, 20% R&D is required for such a niche segment of business, especially considering they're spending a lot in the autonomous vehicles and the technology behind autonomous vehicles. High profit margin business overall, great profit, high gross margin business and high profit margin business. Niche, they are a leader. I think Nvidia is trading at 65 times earnings. The premium is subject to such kind of mode they have, and profitable growth that one can see in the foreseeable future. And they are good in capital allocation, return $1.95 billion to shareholders through a combination of $1.58 billion in share repurchases and $371 million in cash dividends. So they are plowing back capital after returning to shareholders whatever percentage that is, and they are good strong capital allocators as well. Now, why I think Nvidia will still be a great business to hold in hindsight when we look back in 2030. Clearly, Nvidia is a leader and only matured player in the niche segments like gaming, data center, and edge computing. Edge computing is another one which we didn't speak about, but that is also clearly Jensen Huang's vision is to implement edge computing, consider data center itself, each data center itself as a machine, and extend the edge computing, making data closer to the data where the data is generated. That's edge computing. And that is also in the vicinity of their goals in the future. And autonomous chips processing, autonomous vehicles chips processing is also one of the areas. They're all niche segments, and as I said again, the fear of repetition, Nvidia is clearly a leader and mature player in these segments. Excellent partnerships, customer relations with Tencent, Tesla, although I would be a little skeptical about their partnership with Tesla. Cloud providers, all leaders in this respective growth segments. Cloud adoption still have a great decade of growth ahead to migrate all workloads and business segments. Nvidia is innovating great opportunities like edge computing, and by the by, their acquisition strategy like Mellanox, they are on the verge of acquiring Mellanox. If that goes through, Mellanox is clearly a leader, as I said in the introductory segment. It's a leader in the data science and analytics space and in intercomputing communication channel. Mellanox itself is acquiring many other firms in the same segment. So these combinations will be great potent in the future. Nvidia will also contribute larger extent towards 5G growth and proliferation in the digital world. 5G also will help Nvidia grow its segments. Autonomous electric and robot taxi are the future of transportation industry. Nvidia has its niche market leadership, good partnership with DD and others in all of these segments. Overall, the story is strong management, high return ratios, prudent capital allocation. All business segments they are in are all futuristic and a great business to hold for the next decade. And hope this was useful. Thank you.